Hey, all, in this video, we're going to talk about using sliders to try and find an equivalent expression. So sometimes we're going to be given some expression, and sometimes they look really complicated. And we've gone over ways to simplify them or solve them throughout the year. But if you're stuck and you need another way to do it, you can use sliders to see which of the answer choices matches the expression you are given. So in this example, we have this expression right here. Remember that from our previous video, you can't use lowercase x and lowercase y in order to create a slider. So you have to pick the method that you used in the last video and the last set of practice problems. Either use capital X or capital Y or change them to A and B. Stick with the method you chose last time so that you can keep reinforcing the same idea. So I'm going to use capital X and capital Y. Some other things to note that you can see here is that we don't want to use numbers like 0, 1, and 2. So 0, 1, and 2, we don't want to use those because we get to pick the numbers that we're plugging in for X and Y for these examples. We're not given what they are, so we're going to pick them. So I would use numbers like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, so on and so forth. Maybe pick your favorite numbers and stick with them as long as they're not 0, 1, and 2. Because 0, 1, and 2 do some funny things depending on what we're asking from the expression. So I'm going to go ahead and type the original expression here using capital X and capital Y. So you can see I put this expression into Desmos using capital X and Y. The example on your paper uses A and B. Again, you choose which one you want. And then it's going to ask me to add a slider. Remember, we're not going to use 0, 1, or 2. And another thing is you don't want to make them the same value. So let's make them different values. I'm just going to start with 3 and then make the next one 4. We can all use different numbers as long as they're not 0, 1, and 2. And we will end up being able to pick the correct equivalent expression. So then what I would do is I would put the answer choices in, again, using capital X and capital Y, or A and B, depending on your choice, and see which one has a number in the bottom right corner that matches this one. And so I'm just going to go ahead and put answer C in to show you what it will look like when you get the correct answer. So you can see when I put answer choice C in there, it's going to plug these numbers in, and that value matches the original expression. So that means those are equivalent. If I were to plug in one of the other ones, like the first answer choice, you can see that that's not the same as the first one. So that must not be equivalent. So we can do this for any problem where we need an equivalent expression. Of course, we did talk about exponent rules, and you could use the exponent rules if you're really comfortable with them. But if you're stuck and you don't know what else to do, you forget the rules, we can use these sliders. We do have to remember some rules because we can't use lowercase x. So I'm going to go ahead and plug my expression in. I'm going to plug in all my answer choices, and then we'll come back and choose the right answer. And you should do the same. So here I've put in the original expression. I've made x3. Again, you could pick any number. Just don't make it 0, 1, or 2. So I always start with 3. That might be a good way to go. If you like number 7, you can do 7. And then I plugged in all the answer choices, making sure that I use capital X instead of lowercase x. And what I'm going to do is go find out which one is the same as this number. Even though that number looks a little crazy, it's long, we've got this 10 to the negative 8, that's okay. We're just going to go find the one that matches this. And if I go down, this one matches 5 over x to the 18. That's how I know that's the equivalent expression. That's my answer choice. And I can do the same thing anytime I need to match an expression. So I'm going to go ahead here and do the same thing for this one, put them all into Desmos. You should do the same. Make sure you use capital X and capital Y or change them all to A and B. put these all in there, and then come back and see if we get the same answer. So I have my original expression in there. Again, I'm choosing capital X and Y. If you want to do A and B, just be consistent with what you've been doing. I change X to 3 and Y to 4. I'm just always going to start at 3 and then make my next option 4. And if I have a third letter, 5, so on and so forth. Again, while you're practicing these, just be consistent. Do the same thing that you've done every time that's worked. And then you will remember it when you need to do one of these on the test. We're going to go try to find the one that matches this one. And if I come down here, I've got this expression, but I also have this other expression. And so here's where things can get a little tricky. It's asking for the simplest form. And so that means my original and option B and option D are all equivalent. But I want to pick the one that's simplest. And so I'm going to pick the one that has the smallest stuff underneath the square root symbol, and that is choice D. 5x is smaller than 20x. That means it is simpler. And so that will be my answer in simplest form. So just be careful. You should always check all of your answers just in case a couple answers are equivalent to each other. And I'm going to show one more here. I'm going to go ahead and plug this in, changing capital X or lowercase x to capital X. And then I'm going to go ahead and put all my answer choices in there and see which ones match. So you should do the same. Plug these all into Desmos using the method you've been using. So here I've put my original expression in. I've said that X is 3. And then I put all my answer choices in. And you might be thinking while you're typing these in, Mr. Picker, this is taking me forever. But a couple extra minutes using the tool here to help you get the right answer is one more question towards not having to do this test again. So it's worth the time. It's worth the couple extra minutes it takes to plug these in so that we can see right away which answers are correct. So our original says equals 0. So we're looking for the ones that say equals 0. And if you read the directions carefully, it says to select 3. And then you can see there are check boxes. That indicates there's not one right answer, there are 3. And so actually when I look, my first one matches, my second and third one don't, but my fourth and fifth one match. All 3 of those answer choices match the original. Those are my 3 answers. It says to select 3. I selected the 3 that match. Now I know I have the right answer. I'm one question closer to being done and getting a good score. So take the couple extra minutes. It's worth it.